Hello again. It's day 8 of our sheltering at home, and it's 2 o'clock. And I'm glad you guys are here with me again today. I want to talk today about quilts that we see in movies. Since, these days we seem to have a lot more screen time, we seem to have more time to maybe binge watch. One of the things I really like to do is like binge watch a whole season of something while I'm sitting at the sewing machine piecing. One of my favorites that I did that was with the Gilmore Girls. That was a lot of fun too. That was one you could very easily just kind of listen to while you're sewing. You don't really have to sit there and watch it because there's just a lot of fast talking and you pick up on the conversations, and that was a really fun one. But a lot of times when I am watching movies, or I am watching TV shows or whatever, I'm always really quick to notice, oh, look, there's a quilt on the bed or on the couch or somewhere like that. My friend Jenny is a huge movie buff, and she did a really fun Facebook Live thing about all her favorite movies. It was so cute. And we've gone to the movies together a couple of times, and I'm always pointing out to her the quilts, and she just thinks that's a riot, that's what I notice. So I was wondering if there's any movies that you guys have seen that have seen a quilt in the movie that caught your eye, or something that maybe inspired you to do a quilt like that or whatever. A really fun movie that's about quilts. It's called actually How to Make an American Quilt, kind of about a young girl coming of age with her female family members. And that movie was a lot of fun. Some good quilts in that one. That's kind of a given that there's going to be quilts in that movie. It's in the title, right? But there's also movies that you wouldn't even think that there would be. Another really great one is When Harry Met Sally. In Meg Ryan's bedroom, there's a beautiful applique quilt on her bed. So go back as you're watching some of the movies that you have the extra time now to watch, and pay attention and see if you see any quilts in the movies. And then let me know, because I want to watch them too. I found this list on American Quilter Society about movies movies that have quilts in them that I was kind of surprised about. There's a whole list on there, and a lot of TV shows as well. There's quilts in the show The Big Bang Theory, so you could look for them there. There's quilt in Quilt, I'm not sure, in Bridges of Madison County, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Pretty sure that's Grandma and Grandpa on the bed. Coal Miner's Daughter, Dances with Wolves. Even in the hit show Dexter. That's a really fun one to binge watch too, if you're kind of into that. I liked that show. Forrest Gump, Gone with the Wind, of course, and Grapes of Wrath. Oh, and bonus points, if you happen to see a quilt, like a time period movie where maybe the movie happened in times like, historical, like way back when, and they show a quilt in the movie that there's no way that quilt could have been made during that actual time period that the movie is, because those kind of fabrics weren't out, or that pattern wasn't out, or that kind of thing. So those will be extra bonus points if you can find those kind of things. But it's just funny to me because it's like the quilt directors are like, they don't know anything about quilts. They're just like, oh, this is an old movie. Quilts are an old thing. Let's put a quilt in there. Cracks me up. Groundhog Day is another one. Holiday Inn. Oh, let's see. What were some other ones? Some of them were like, yeah, I'm sure there's a quilt in there. Oh, the movie Nail. That was a good one. Interesting. Oh, and Pulp Fiction. Now that one, I'm going to have to go back and watch and look for the quilts. In the show Seinfeld, you'll find a quilt or two. Even in The Walking Dead. Oh, and You've Got Mail. Maybe it's a Meg Ryan thing. Maybe she likes quilts. Who knows? So those are just a few movies that maybe as you're having some extra screen time, you go through and you can be on a little scavenger hunt and try to find the quilts. So there was this one movie one particular movie that I was watching that was really good. It was 42, the story about Jackie Robinson, and it was an excellent movie on just kind of that whole time period in our country, and the civil rights movement and stuff like that, and how he was able to play professional baseball. It's a really good movie. But there's one scene in there where he's in his bedroom. I don't know if he's like sitting on the bed and he gets a phone call, I think from his manager or something, telling him he's going to get to go with the team. If I remember right. It's been a while since I saw it. But the quilt, I definitely remember the quilt. It was a beautiful, like, orange peel, like really big petals of the orange peel, and just two color. It was kind of a reddish orangey color, whatever. And I really liked it. It really inspired me, and I decided that I was going to have to make it. So like I said, this was quite a while ago, and you guys already know that I have lots of quilts that I have found when I cleaned out or reorganized my sewing room a couple weeks ago, that I found all kinds of projects that I've started that maybe during this time I'll get inspired to finish. So I wanted to show you one of those. I got to go over to my little area here and find it. Let's see. Okay, so like I said, I just kind of only got it started, and I don't have too much of it together, but let me show you. I have some of the blocks. So let's see. I just found some creamy backgrounds. They're all going to be kind of different. And then this is what I'm talking about, that this is the orange peel pattern. So this is one block right here, and it has that kind of petal shape. And then you put them all together. Let's see, maybe I can put them up back here so you can see them. Take those down. And when you put the blocks all next to each other, it's going to make this like circle design in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that is I'm calling it my Jackie Robinson quilt, because that was the movie I watched that inspired it. And just so that you can learn a new little quilting tip and technique, I'm going to show you how I'm just going to kind of explain to you how I got these petals kind of appliqued onto the block. You can do this block with cutting this out separate and cutting this out separate and sewing this curve. That is definitely a possible way to piece this together. But at the time when I started this, was a little bit scared of curved piecing. And I decided that I would just do it with cut the petals out and applique it. So this is some very, very lightweight fusible, which means I can iron it onto the fabric, interfacing. It's the lightest weight you can get. It's real thin. So I drew the petals on. I made a little template like this on paper of that shape. Okay. And then I traced a whole bunch onto this lightweight interfacing. And then you iron this no, you don't iron it. I'm sorry. What you do, you're going to iron it when you put it onto the block. But first you take this orange fabric. Let me see here we go. Okay. So I cut the orange fabric into strips that this can go on. Okay. Then I'm going to put the bumpy fusible side of the petal onto the wrong side. If you have a wrong side, this doesn't really, because it's just a solid color, but if you had a print, you'd want to put it on the wrong side of the fabric. And then what you do is you stitch right along that line that you drew. Then you make a tiny, tiny little slit in the interfacing, and then you turn it inside out so that now this bumpy side will be facing out, and it'll be on the wrong side of your fabric. So let me think about that. I think you actually want to sew it onto the right side. If you had a print, you want to sew on the right side, because then this is going to go to the back. Okay. So change that. Anyway, so then you have this petal that has a finished off seam. So you can see how that edge is nice. Sorry, let me get it up there. That edge is nice and finished off and really clean. And then you can just put it onto your block, that petal, go right onto your block and iron it corner to corner. Leave a little bit of room for the seam allowance. Then you can go back. I haven't decided if I'm going to do this, but you can go back and do a machine stitch around that to make sure, because I think eventually the fusible stuff will give way and they won't be real secure. But I think I might just stitch it down when I'm quilting it is I think what I'm going to do with this one. So anyway, fun little tip. You can do that with pretty much any applique. I think it would be hard if they were little tiny applique pieces, but especially for bigger applique pieces like that, you could definitely do that. So that was my quilt movie adventure and how it inspired me to make a new quilt. And if you have any movies that you were inspired to make a quilt, or even that you just noticed and liked, make sure, like I said, you let me know. And we could start a new little trend as well with, we could do like hashtag quilts in movies or something like that we can all go back and look at and see, oh, I wonder what movie I want to watch. Let's see, I want to watch a movie that has a quilt in it. And then we would have a list. So tag that in the social media. And make sure you also remember to be continuously creative, whether it's from a quilt in a movie or just a quilt that you're making or that you want to make. And thank you again for joining me today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.